Well, welcome back. We're going to be switching our conversations now and talking fashion, but with a bit of a dimension to it. Sustainable fashion is something that's become very sort of a hot topic across the world. We're trying to understand what that means for Nigeria. I mean, we love our fashion here, definitely, but sustainable fashion, is it something that we can sort of adapt our lifestyles to? I have here with me Mary Edoro, who's a fashion journalist. Thanks for being here today.
Thank you so much, Ebuka.
Yeah,
Thanks to be here.
It sounds like a very big word when you hear sustainable fashion.
It does.
And everybody just thinking, when you hear sustainable, you're thinking climate change, what's going on? This is such a big, hot topic. What does sustainable fashion mean? Let's start with that.
Interestingly, it's very easy. It's pretty much just being conscious about what you do if you work in fashion or if you consume fashion, if you look at fashion, if you love fashion. Yeah. It's just being conscious about what you do, about how you're producing fashion, how you're wearing fashion, what type of pieces you're wearing, and just that whole ecosystem of being conscious of fashion's consequences on the environment.
Yeah, I asked that because I hear sustainable and I'm thinking, recycled. Do I not throw my clothes away? Is that literally all it is?
That's not all it is. There's a lot to go in. So it's at different levels, from the production level to the consumption level. So for designers, for example, how are you producing? What fabrics are you using to produce? Are you harming the environment with your dyes, with your, how exactly are you producing? And for consumers like us, how are you taking care of your outfits? For example, Ebuka, I'll throw the question back to you. What do you do with your old suits? You have so many wonderful suits. What do you do with them? Do they just end up being trashed after they don't fit you? Do you hand them down? Do you donate them? Do you resell them? So it's just that whole process of making sure that the life cycle of our fashion choices continue over the years.
Yeah, that doesn't seem like, it's so hard
it's not.
to do. But there's this other side, where I was reading up on this before the show, and I started thinking about jobs. You mentioned dye now.
Yeah.
There's a huge tie-dye, industry in Kano, in parts of the Southwest as well, where they still do it the local way, or the traditional way, for want of a better word. I also read somewhere that cotton, for example, is not very sustainable because when you wash cotton, it needs more water, so you are consuming more water. And I'm wondering, there's cotton farmers everywhere as well. What happens to industries like this is what people start thinking. Should we tackle this, in a different way? We're already crying about jobs. How does sustainable fashion help with creating jobs?
So interestingly, I think, like you said at the beginning, sustainability sounds like such a cumbersome term. And when you start to break it down, you find that it's not as hard as you think it is. So for example, you spoke about dye and traditional ways of making dye. And those ways are not as harmful as the chemical and more industrialized ways of making dye, for example. So it's more of natural products, the way we do it back here, back home. But when we now talk of on a larger scale, people are using more chemicals that are harmful, and the way they even dispose of it. So like emptying them into streams where people drink from, people eat from, etc. So it's not as complex as that. There are still opportunities for job creations, especially in terms of handwork, handcrafts, and which is what we're trying to go back to in terms of sustainability. Handcrafts, hand-produced, locally made stuff. There's a huge industry for that right now, especially in Nigeria.
Is that something that's sustainable?
Yeah.
And I'm talking more long-term, because we're all clamoring for a time when we'll be able to mass produce things, but you're talking handcrafting. Are we going to be able to have sort of a retail chain for a designer who wants to make thousands of outfits that are handwoven?
Yeah. Okay, so I'll cite a designer, Emmanuel Okoro, who owns Emikazbit, and he does fantastic work with Akwete fabric, and he's been doing this for a while now. And he started with, I think, about 5 hand weavers who weave his fabrics, and then they deliver all across the world. And now he's trying to set up a hub where they are 10 to 100 weavers who are creating these fabrics, training people. You can send your children there for some kind of boot camp, training them to know how to hand weave. Imagine the number of products we can get from 100 hand weavers for a period of time if they're well taken care of course, in an ethical situation, as opposed to mass producing with chemicals, mass producing with sweatshops or places that are not ethical, where you are paying them below average wage, etc. So yes, we are able to use handcraft, hand-woven, hand-done things, the way we usually do them in the traditional sense of things. We are able to do that on a larger scale, but not as fast fashion would take it. But that's where now the consumer patience, I would say, and the consumer understanding of sustainable fashion comes in.
Yeah. I mean, you looking at Nigeria, does this look realistic? Because, I mean, it's nice. And I think a lot of people, when they get explained, understand.
Yeah.
But is it realistic? Because we even have the industrialized countries today who know all about climate change. They have all the buzzwords, but nobody wants to really do anything because things like coal, for example, are easier. You know, they're worried about losing jobs. Mining, I'm talking on the larger scale now of, sustainability. But with fashion even, we're in a country where we're still even grappling with the basics. Is sustainable fashion really going to catch on here?
The truth is, I believe personally that balance is one of the key things in life. And once there's an excess of something, there will always be trouble, there will always be problems. So a balance is really needed right now. We've seen an influx of a lot of fast fashion brands in Nigeria, and we've seen that this has led to a lot of fashion waste in the country. If you go around, you see so many landfills, you see like a truckload of things packed together alongside the bottles, the plastic bottles, but we also get to see clothes that are disposed of. Why are they disposed of? Because it's fast fashion, and then you bought it for a certain amount of money that's not very significant. You wear it 3 times and then it's done. But if we continue to educate people on this consciousness, on the consciousness of what exactly it is they're buying, I think people will be able to catch on. And I think it's from, in terms of consumption, it's from the highest levels, from celebrities to the grassroots levels, to media publications talking more about it, to this type of interviews that we're having right now. Yeah. I think it's a full circle thing. Once people get to understand what exactly this is, I believe it'll catch on. And I think it's really catching on. We have a lot of thrift brands, even from before it became thrift in Nigeria, it was Okrika, and people used to go and shop Okrika easily. Yeah, although they didn't used to say it, bend down select. They didn't used to say it, but they would shop Okrika. But now we're catching on much more to thrift culture, and I think that's growing incredibly well, and it's something we should continue to be proud of. Yeah. Example, the AMPC is yesterday. I feel like if some celebrities wore pieces that maybe was worn 8 years ago or 5 years ago, it'll be great to say, oh, hi guys, I actually did wear this 6 years ago and I'm wearing it today again, showing that power in re-rocking and not just always constantly adding things to your closet. Yeah.
You mentioned the Mikas bit there, and I'm wondering, with Nigerian designers, is he the exception? Are you seeing a trend of it starting to catch on with our designers here? Yes. Who do amazing work, by the way. Yes. Sustainable fashion is what I mean. Our
designers are absolutely amazing. I have seen so much growth in the Nigerian fashion industry from about 10 years ago till now. We've seen growth of people being proud of using our local stuff, using cowries as beads, as buttons, using coconut husks to make some very interesting things. There's so many brands that are producing ethically right now, and are even doing it on a large scale. We have the likes of Bio, Andrea Dumebi Yama of Andrea Yama. We have so many of them who are doing great things on a larger scale, and I don't think it's a trend. I feel like we've passed the stage where it was a trend, and now it's the real thing, and even younger designers are looking up to them to offer guidance.
I think we're supposed to be joined online by Swanky Jerry. Okay, Maya, if you're there, can you hear me? How are you doing? If you can hear me. Okay, he's not. Okay, I think we're still expecting him to join us. Okay. But let's just talk a little more about it. You didn't mention, when I talked about cotton, you didn't have an opinion on that. Well, because cotton farming is a global industry in the billions of dollars. What happens to that? Does this mean that cotton is bad? Because I want to believe a huge percentage of what we all wear is made out of cotton. And what are the options? Yeah. For farmers, for example, what sort of fabrics, what sort of material are more sustainable if we're going to start looking at options?
To be honest, like I said, it's all about balance. We cannot deny that cotton is very important, but how are we treating the farmers? So in addition to sustainable practices, one thing that's also important is ethically treating your workers right. So a lot of things that sustainable fashion experts always talk about is sweatshops, for example, where fast fashion brands have people in these sweatshops and they're like 100 people in one small cramped building and they're earning below wage and they're trying to produce as fast as possible. So how are you treating these farmers that are doing this whole process for you? I think that's an important aspect to tackle it from. Are you paying them well? I think if you are going to pay your cotton farmer 15 naira and you're going to sell your outfit for 300,000 naira, I'm not sure that's fair, because you have to weigh the profit you're making versus the cost of production, basically. So I think that's one aspect to tackle it from. In terms of alternatives to cotton, I'll be very honest, I'm not very sure. I'm still reading much more about that, because I know cotton is very, very key in terms of fashion production. Yeah. But I would say always balance things out, especially for designers who are just trying to get into sustainable fashion. Start small, start with what you know, what you're familiar with, and read and always research on it.
You talk about re-rocking there, and it's one of the things that a lot of people in fashion are always debating. Should you wear an outfit twice, especially if you're like a huge star, if you're a trendsetter? Also things go out of fashion, and I wonder. I guess my question is, you are a fashion journalist. You've seen things come and go. I mean, the baggy pants are back again in a different form. 2 years ago it was skinny jeans.
Yeah.
What are you looking at in the next year, maybe, that you think might start making a comeback again? Because it's surprising what comes back. Things we swore would never wear again.
Anything can come back, to be honest. Anything can come back, and I'm not even surprised anymore. But I would say I would advise not to think of trends or not to look at trends, because it's a revolving circle. It always just goes back round and round. And I was so grateful last year. I was able to re-rock something my mom had in her closet for 15 years, and I wore it for an event, and everybody's like, oh, this is beautiful, this is lovely. And I was very happy. It gave me a lot of joy to be able to do that. So you see how that kind of transcends. From 15 years ago, when my mom carried it, she tied a gele with it. But now I wore it as a two-piece and it was beautiful. I think these are conversations, especially from the more visible level, that should be had with celebrities and influencers. I think we need to latch on more into that whole re-rock culture. Yeah. It is something that has been so downplayed, and it seems almost like a taboo when you say, oh, you wore this before. But like, oh my God, does she not have clothes or does she not have money? But it's really not like that. It means that you value your clothes, you are conscious about how you're taking care of your clothes, and you're able to re-rock it another time, and I think it's very important. In terms of trends, I would say the Ashoke trend is coming back, so you guys watch out. I'm in love with Ashoke right now. Yeah.
True that. Talking about re-rocking, Kate Middleton, Princess Kate.
Yeah.
Is one of the biggest advocates of that, and she doesn't care.
Yeah.
There's always a before and after.
I love it.
That she throws in. I mean, if the Princess of England can do it, I don't know anyone else that should be complaining. Yeah. But you mentioned the MVCs earlier, and I want to go into that now. And let's talk fashion.
Fashion.
Sustainable or not?
Oh, no. We'll be
and I just want to go through a few
way.
people who definitely caught people's attention.
Okay, sure.
There were 2 winners of the best dress category at the MVCs yesterday. We'll find out if you I guess I wanted to find out what you thought about the choices. But let's start with a few people who caught our eyes. First up, I think is Idia Isian, I think her movie was nominated yesterday, Neck at the Pretty Serpent. She's also worked on TV. We'll see what she had on and what you thought about her dress. But generally, first of all, before we look at them, what did you think of the fashion yesterday?
I think people came to slay.
Okay, that's her.
Yes, Idia looked beautiful. I love Idia. She always knows how to hit on the red carpet. I absolutely love this color on her. I think it really popped on her skin tone. It's very edgy with the big
I was going to say, sometimes you wonder what is too much and what is enough.
I think for Nigerian fashion and red carpet fashion, nothing is too much.
It's crazy. Anything goes.
Anything goes, really.
As long as you can pull it off.
As long as you can pull it off, take the perfect pictures, get your angles right, I think it works. So it works for her. She looks amazing.
So you thought she looked good?
I thought she looked good.
Because I looked at the boy, I was like, this is heavy.
It's heavy.
But then she carried it well.
I mean, when there's fashion, what's practicality? Throw it to the wind.
So she definitely was one of the best for you.
I liked it. I wouldn't say one of the best, but I liked her look.
Okay. Yeah. Let's look at Timini now, because that was a huge talking point for a lot of people.
Yeah.
It's a black tie event. He had this jacket that had so much bling on it. And they looked like something that looked like a skirt or something under the jacket, and then there were pants under.
Yes.
There's something also across the jacket in front. Well, is this a black tie outfit? But aside that, did he look good enough to be one of the best on the day?
I think he looked good enough for men's style on the red carpet. Swanky did this look, and I think he looked really good. I mean, skirts with tuxedos have been from time immemorial, if we're being honest. Brands like Comme des Garçons are always champions of this. I think it was a well put together look. I love the jacket. I think the whole look was by Seven Dejana, but I absolutely loved the whole look. It was edgy, it was fun. I mean, fashion is to be played around with, so I can't fault the look as long as he felt comfortable and happy wearing it.
I looked at a lot of fashion yesterday with the men, and I think I Googled best dressed men at the Oscars 2022. Yeah. And it was just so interesting how different the red carpet culture in Nigeria is. Everybody on the list from the Oscars wore a tuxedo.
Just
wore a tuxedo.
White shirt.
Like 80% of them were just in black tuxedos. And you look at the Nigerian list and it's just people are really very just
it's
I find
wonderful.
it fascinating.
We're so unique. I love it. I love everywhere I go, people always talk compliment Nigerian fashion, and I love it so much. We're very vibrant, we're very expressive, we like to go, we like to do, we love it. I like it.
All right, let's look at Osasi Godaro, who ended up winning the best dressed female award on the night, voted for by the viewers, by the fans, and all of that. She also won an award as well as Best Actress in a Drama for Rattlesnake. So it was a big night for her. To look that great, to win an award, it looked like everything just came in perfectly. What did you think of her outfit, Osasi Godaro?
I loved her outfit. I absolutely loved her outfit. I know people tend to always go for sheer and body hugging on the red carpet, but I love the extended train, and I love that it was a different color.
This is not Osasi Godaro on TV, by the way. This is still Timini, but we're talking about Osasi Godaro.
Osas looked amazing. She bodied the look. She absolutely did. I loved her makeup. It was simple and sleek. I loved the extended train. She looked pretty. She looked like a flamingo. I loved it.
It's a very interesting line, with what female fashion has become now. There's a lot of talk about the corsets and the rhinestones and the sequins. It's like you have these things and you're good. These three things and you're good. It looked like she might. I don't know about the corsets with her, but okay, it looks like there might have been a corset. But the rhinestones and sequins also came into play. Yes. So what makes one work and not the other?
So
what made hers work?
I think, as a designer, you just have to know what is enough and what is too much. So I like that even with the corset, it's not a corset pretty much. It's just a design. It's detailing, and then you can still see her stomach. You can still see her chest area. So that upper area is very sleek and very simple. Then it flows all the way down, and it's much more dramatic. And I really like that. I mean, I just think sometimes for fashion, less is more, but also just add a wow effect. And I think the train was the wow effect for this look, and that made it really work.
Let's go now to Denola Gray, who won the best man at the event, the best dressed male at the event. What did you think of this?
Denola never misses. I love how he knows how to dress for himself. He expresses himself with fashion, and that outfit was wonderful. I actually didn't expect that it would be from Uncle Mai, it would be from Maya Tafo, because it was very much very edgy with all the embroidery.
Because Atafo can mostly classic.
Mostly classic suits. So I didn't know until I checked this out. I'm like, oh wow, from Atafo. I think it was a brilliantly done suit, and I love his accessorizing. Denola is always very graceful. I love it. He just comes through. I absolutely love the look.
And the color, I think, was what also worked.
Yes,
and Denola takes a good picture. So
he takes great pictures. I absolutely love the color. Yes, like you mentioned, the color was great.
Definitely deserves it. There was Chioma Akpota as well, Tacha Akide, Daniela Fiong, Bimbo Ademoye, Nancy Sime, Erica. These were all people that everybody thought, did amazing. Great. This was Chioma, who's ageless, continues to look amazing. Ageless. What did you think of her?
I think she looked great. It was a beautiful look for the event. I think it was okay.
I think what is this color was quite popular in the night. It's almost like a silverish, grayish,
I mean, because people always associate awards nights with like glamour and glitz, so everybody wants to sparkle, everybody wants to look very shimmery.
Tasha looked
amazing. Yes, I from the hair, to the picture, to the makeup, I think she looked beautiful.
Can we talk about the photographers at awards these days? It's like a whole industry now.
Honestly, I was seeing the pictures, I was
full-on
like,
shoots.
full-on editorial shoots.
Yeah.
It was really something.
Like this could be a magazine cover.
Yes, it was, this was, because everything matched, very structural.
Look at another one. This could be a magazine cover.
Yes.
This is Daniel F. Young.
He looked really great.
This was very interesting because people kept saying, so how is he going to unbutton his outfit? What is this about? Did he wrap himself in? But I guess maybe if you looked at it closer, you would understand. But it was interesting.
Yes, yeah. I think he looked good. So I liked the jacquard jacket, and then that addition was statement making.
It's one of those things that you say, with the black carpets, you keep it clean. But now we're pushing the boundaries as much as we can. Like I said, I was also Bimbo Ademoye, Nancy Sime, and Eric and Lewedim. They were all, talked about.
Yes. I think Nancy's look was understated. Bimbo looked great. She looked very simple and chic. I like the show, just sexy and a bit sultry. I like that without showing too much. I think it was good. I think it was a good look. Red always wins.
But do you think Nancy was understated?
Yes, I think Nancy's look was very understated. First of all, she was wearing this brilliant designer who is from Kosovo, somewhere like that, and he's dressed Beyonce, Cardi B, and people kept saying, from the comments I saw, people were like, oh, what's this? No, I think it's the intricacy of the outfit that's just everything. Look at the beading details on the chest with that draping. I really hope the look stayed this way all through and just looked beautiful. Her purse matched the outfit perfectly. I think she looked very, goddessy. In my opinion, I think she looked like a sort of goddess in that look. I absolutely loved it.
Yeah, of course, finally, Eric and Lewedim, who had the train of life.
Yeah, the train of life. A very
dreamy, 8 people needed to be around her for her to move. But she looked stunning.
Yes, very dreamy. I actually really loved it without because there was another picture where she had just the bustier and then the gown.
Without the train.
Yeah, without the train. I really loved that look, but it was very dreamy.
Definitely easier to walk without.
Yes, very princessy.
Yeah, let's take a look at some other people who were talked about, but on a more controversial level.
Yeah.
First off, Pretty Mike, who we all know does it intentionally now. He attends weddings. He went to a wedding with coffins one day, and I'm just like, what is going on here? He's attended with maidens, with all sorts of people. But he came yesterday in I'm not sure what it was on his head, and it looked like he was wearing a cloak, and then he had a baby goats, and everybody was like, this is as soon you're carrying around here. Why are you? What's really going on here?
Oh my God.
What did you think when you saw Pretty Mike? I mean, he loves the attention, and he's not going to stop.
Someone actually sent me the video before we saw photos. I was like, oh, here's what he's wearing. And I was just like, you know what? Fashion is self-expression, I guess. So, do you if you feel confident. I mean, I understand why he does it. He does it for, the trends and everybody to talk about the look. So yes, if it got people talking, I think it's achieved its purpose. Yeah. It's very gothic and very dark, but I guess it works.
Like I said, he's not going to stop. He loves it. He enjoys the attention.
Yeah.
Pretty much. We can't see the baby goat here. But he did have a goat on his hand. Or it was a baby ram. I don't know what it was, but it was something on his arm.
Yes.
Next we have Lateef Adedimeji and his wife, who people called out a lot. I'm not sure why, but I don't know what you thought about maybe her dress. Did you think it was too much going on?
I think it didn't photograph well at all. I think it did not photograph well. I would like to see it in
Velvet
motion.
can be very tricky.
Yes, exactly. So both of them, they did not photograph well. But I would like to see her dress in motion to fully judge. But I feel like it could, if the photographs were taken from a different angle, maybe if she was seated and then it was flowy around her and he stood or did some sort of romantic pose or something, it might have worked much better. But and also the color and the picture, that purple.
Because I saw them on the red carpet. I didn't know that it looked that bad. I saw them up close. So, to be honest,
so
I didn't think it looked that bad.
I think it just didn't photograph well. Yeah. But her makeup is stunning. She looks beautiful. Yeah.
Apparently, people called out Vandora as well. I'm not sure what you thought of this.
I think she did a little too little. She did too little. I think that's what people have.
Okay, it's a little too understated for a glam event.
Yes, for the AMVCAs, I think it's a little less red carpeting and more.
People had a lot of issue with the veil on her head. Like, what was
She
that
just wanted
supposed to
to
be?
add like a pump to the look. I get it, but it's the AMVCAs, you know. It's not just the movie premiere. So
Yeah.
I understand their frustrations. But do you, babes? Like, it's just do you.
We also had Follow Storms, who I got dragged a lot on Twitter for, because I interviewed her on the red carpet.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I love your hair, which I honestly did, because it was like platinum blonde hair.
Yeah.
And they said, "Hi, Ebuka, you're lying." I'm like, "But I like the hair. Why can't I like the hair?"
She was going for a futuristic look. Maybe people didn't get it because with the silver top area, with the blonde hair, with the very, very bright green, I think it was a futuristic look. But maybe if we ask her about it, she'll tell us more. But I think it was a futuristic look. I think put apart, it looks like an outfit pulled right off a runway. Maybe put with certain pieces set apart, like maybe the upper region off, and then maybe a different hairstyle might have worked differently. But maybe it was futuristic. She was going for.
I mean, there were so many other people who were talking about. There was Dane Relay, who looked like a chandelier. There was Tiana, who also got called out for her. She had a mask.
Yes, she had
like
a horn.
A mask with a horn.
Yes.
There was Ifu Enada, who had a skirt with skulls. There were so many people who got, but I mean, we were out of time. So just quickly now, do you agree with the choice for best male and female dressed?
Yes,
I thought they were the best.
Yeah, I thought they were the best dressed, male and female. They looked really good.
Yeah, I mean, what that tells me is that, you know, the red carpet culture or the black tie red carpet culture is completely different.
It's completely different.
You can do anything.
You can.
As long as you can work it.
Yes, and that's why I'm really happy. I mean, at the beginning of our conversation, we're speaking about sustainable fashion, and I believe it's something that's definitely going to work here because we have a different mindset around fashion. Even though we try to follow trends sometimes, we still have our unique decision about fashion. Yes.
Thank you very much. That was fun.
Thank you so much.
I totally enjoyed that.
I did.
Please come back again.
Definitely.
Like I always say, you can follow the conversation on Twitter. Please use the hashtag #RubbinMinds when you send us a message. Stay safe out there, and I'll see you next Sunday.